Shalom Aleichem. Today in Mishnah Yomi we start the section of Bava Batra about inheritance in chapter 8 and 9. So let's pick up the first Mishnah in chapter 8. Yesh nochlin umanchilin. Some people, meaning some family relationships, they bequeath a Yerusha, an inheritance, and they also receive an inheritance. Yesh nochlin v'lo manchilin. Some receive an inheritance, but they don't give an inheritance. Manchilin v'lo nochlin. Some can give inheritance, but they do not receive from the same relationship. And finally, lo nochlin v'lo manchilin. Sometimes there are some relationships where they do not give or get an inheritance. This nachala is also lashon of like a stream, a flow of water that happens, it's flowing. Ve'elu nochlin and manchilin. And first, who are those relationships where they both receive inheritance and give inheritance? Ha'av et habanim, a father from his sons, if the sons predecease, but banim et ha'av, and of course sons from the father. In the Gemara, they do explain why the Mishnah chose this order, which is not the normal events, God forbid, we should see such a thing. V'ha'achin min ha'av, and paternal brothers who share a father, nochlin u'manchilin. They both give and get inheritance from one another. Ha'ish et imo, a man from his mother, Ve'ish et ishto, a man from his wife, uvnei achayot, and also the sons of sisters, nochlin, they do receive inheritance, v'lo manchilin, but they do not give inheritance. So while a son could inherit property from his mother or his wife, he does not give property to his mother or his wife. And if a man passes away and he has no children, but his sister has sons, then it would go to those nephews. But conversely, a man does not inherit from the children of his sister. Now the Mishnah explains the third category, Ha'isha et baneha, a mother to her sons, Ha'isha et baila, a wife to her husband, Ve'ache ha'em, brothers of a mother, maternal uncles, manchilin, they can give Yerusha in this direction, v'lo nochlin, but they don't take Yerusha, an inheritance. Ve'achin min ha'em, and brothers from the mother side, lo nochlin v'lo manchilin. They're uncles, but they don't share in this Yerusha relationship at all. In the Gemara, they explain that on a d'oraita level, mishpacha, this family relationship to cause Yerusha, is through the father, and these people share a mother, but they do not share a father. Now on to chapter 8, Mishnah Bet, Seder Nachalot Kachu. The order of inheritance, here it is. They actually quote a pasuk, a verse in Numbers chapter 27. In Bamidbar, Ish ki yamut, a man will pass away, ben ein lo, if he has no son, v'havartim et nachalato levito, you will pass over his inheritance to his daughter. So the sages learn in the Mishnah, ben kodem labat, if there is a son, the son or sons do get before the daughters. Now, don't worry, we are going to see later on in Bava Batra that daughters were certainly taken care of. If there were not enough assets to support sons and daughters, then they would send the sons out to beg, and the daughters would get supported, would get mizona, would get food from the estate. But in terms of the actual inheritance, the division of the fields belonging to the father, the sons would come first. V'chol yotzei yireicho shel ben kodmin labat, and anything that comes out of the thigh of the son, meaning the son's children, the son's grandchildren, kodmin labat, they would get the actual inheritance, the land, before the daughter. So it could be that the grandson would come before the daughter in inheritance, even if the son is no longer alive. But kodemet la'achin, but the daughter does take precedence before the brothers of the deceased, and Yodse Yerecha Shel Bat Kodmin Achin, and any of her descendants, the grandchildren and great-grandchildren of the deceased, come before the brothers of the deceased. The Mishnah adds, Achin Kodmin La'acheav, the brothers of the deceased come before his uncles, and Yotze Yerechan Shel Achin, the descendants of his brothers, Kodmin La'acheav, also come before the uncles. These are, again, paternal uncles. Zeh klal, this is the general rule. Kol hakodim benachala, anyone who comes first has precedence in the order of inheritance. Yotze Yerecho Kodmin, also that person's children and grandchildren, anyone down the line, comes first in inheritance. V'ha'av, and the father of the deceased, Kodem L'chol Yotze Yerecho, does come before any of the offspring of the father. So if a man died, he doesn't have his own children, but he has a lot of brothers. Well, if the father's still alive, all his inheritance actually goes to the father instead of to his brothers. Yasher Koach and good Shabbos.